My name is Tarmack, and this is your Game Industry News Wrap-Up for the week of November 21st, 2015. A helpful user on Reddit went through the trouble of graphing the IGN Game Scores from 96 to 2015, putting together a fancy little tool that you can play with to see how scores have changed over time. IGN gave 25 to 35% of the games it reviewed an 8 in the last 3 years, compared to 12% to 29% from 96 to 98. That certainly could indicate an overall increase in the quality of games, however. It's also possible that they just don't like reviewing bad games. Of course, how do you know it's bad before you've played it, I wonder? What I will say, though, is that it's the most wonky bell curve that I've ever seen. I think we should call it a 2 to 10 scale rather than a 0 to 10 scale. Sony has confirmed that PlayStation 2 Emulation is going to be coming to the PlayStation 4. They declined to comment further as far as how it would work, whether people would need to buy digital versions from the PlayStation Store, or whether the old PS2 discs would work in a PS4. Given that there's an Android PS2 emulator, I think it's probably safe to assume that the PS4 can handle it too, and if Microsoft can give us the ability to just use our old discs, then Sony can as well. Hard drive space be damned, if only to stick it to one of the Xbox One's neatest unique features. Telltale has announced a second season Game of Thrones title. It'll be just like the first season, a reskin of The Walking Dead with less relatable, likable characters and the same illusion of choice that is the hallmark of a Telltale game. It's starting to feel like their style is just watching the game play itself, but that could be just me, I suppose. Star Wars Battlefront is getting review bombed, primarily because EA was greedy with the $50 DLC. Even if they didn't intend to cut content from the base game to sell later, when you tell people what future content they're going to get before they even have the current content because the game hadn't yet released while you were hyping the DLC, it's not difficult to figure out how the customer perceives what you've done. Less greed, more good games, please EA. Don't give us a shell of a game or a monetization platform. But also, gamers, please stop review bombing. It's childish. Rocksteady has stated that multi-GPU support, also known as SLI or Crossfire, using 2 or more video cards is not practical for Batman Arkham Knight. I'd bet that the not practical part is that they don't have the bug fix budget from Warner Brothers to make the still broken game not get more broken after adding SLI support. Next-gen gaming for real, am I right? Rockband 4 launched back on October 6th and has had a reasonable reception from gamers, though of course not nearly as much as in its prime. An update is coming with quite a few number of new features on December 8th. It includes online taunts so that you can smack your friend's virtual chin every time you beat their score. They also added auto kick mode, which lets you remove the kick pedal from the drum parts in the game. This mode could also be known as drunk karaoke drum mode. Fallout 4 has had a mod released already that swaps out the general tone-style dialogue picking wheel with the actual subtitles from the voiceover line so that players who actually like role-playing a character can know what their character is going to say. I've always found those dialogue wheels kind of weird. It's a classic BioWare feature now as well. Here, play this game where you can make whatever character you want and play them however you want. Bah, don't worry about knowing what your character will say, all you need is the general tone of the conversation anyways. Seems counterintuitive to the design. Overwatch has unlocked beta access this weekend for a large number of accounts, so make sure you check to see if you're in. It does expire on Monday though. I've been playing quite a bit, to the detriment of hunger, thirst, and my cats have started to circle me as though I'm food. I think maybe I should take a break. Just kidding, the kitties get fed plenty. It's bloody difficult to play any kind of Twitch shooter with a cat in your lap that has decided that they actually want to be laying on the keyboard though. I should say, on my usual hype demo snarks, that Blizzard does tend to do genuine beta testing with their releases. Overwatch is clearly missing a ton of features, does have plenty of bugs, and this test is a stress test on their servers. So beta is a much more apt word here. Green Man Gaming, a site that I used to believe was reputable, ran out of keys for Star Wars Battlefront. Turns out amid several key-related controversies that they're doing much the same thing that other key resellers do. They buy from third parties in international markets and then sell them back to gamers. It would be pretty hard to run out of keys if you were directly buying them from EA, just saying. They're legit keys from the sounds of things, but if you're one of those people who's really keen on pre-ordering, GMG might not be the source you want to use if you actually want to get the game you paid for on opening day. Nintendo has won a court case against a group selling security circumvention devices for Nintendo hardware. Now, this isn't a case of consumer rights because it was directed at companies selling circumvention devices. However, I would like to point out that if the TPP gets approved, Nintendo won't need to look for a court ruling like this for countries in the Pacific Rim. This has been your Game Industry News Wrap-Up for the week of November 21st, 2015. I'm Tarmack. Thanks for watching.